muscles of the upper limb. First is abductor pollicis brevis. In the abductor pollicis brevis, the hand will like this, and patient will tell to take the hand in abductor position, that is in a right angle, and I will be keeping the pressure here. Is the testing for abductor pollicis brevis. In this movement, I am testing abductor pollicis brevis. Then coming to opponent's pollicis. Opponent's pollicis, I have to touch this thumb with this little finger. Opponent's pollicis, and I will be resisting it. This is called opponent's pollicis. Now coming to interside lumbricals. First interside, two types, palmar interside and dorsal interside. Palmar interside is pad, adduction. I will give a patient to keep like this, and I will be pulling from this side. This is called palmar interside. For dorsal interside, I will be keeping the hand here, and I will tell the patient to do like this. For adduction, palmar interside adduction, dorsal interside is called abduction. This is called interside. Lumbricals. Lumbrical causes flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint and extension at the interphalangeal. This is the lumbricals. This is lumbricals. So when the lumbrical is paralyzed, there will be extension at the metacarpophalangeal joint and there is flexion at the interphalangeal. This is called clawing of hand. This is extension at the metacarpophalangeal joint, extension and flexion here. This is called lumbricals. Now flexor of the fingers. This is the flexor of the finger. I will tell the patient's hand to. I will make my hand and tell the patient to grasp like this. This is the flexor of the fingers. All the finger muscles are CAT1. This is a flexor, and tell the patient this is called flexor of the fingers. The flexor of the fingers are supplied by flexor pollicis longus, flexor pollicis brevis, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profondius. I will squeeze the patient like this. This is called flexor of the fingers. Now come and see flexor of the wrist. In the wrist flexor, I will tell the patient first the root value is flexor of the wrist root value is CAT1. The muscles are flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, and palmaris longus. I will tell the patient to touch this crease, all this crease. I will tell the patient to touch all this crease. So you have to do a flexor movement, touch the wrist. Here flexion will be here and flexion also will be here. So this is a flexion. We will be checking this to touch the crease. I will ask the patient to touch this crease. I will tell the patient to cross this crease. This is called the flexor of the wrist. That is flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, and palmaris longus. Then coming to the extensor of the wrist. External wrist is external wrist is not CAT1, it is C6, C7, T8. The muscles are extensor carpi radialis, extensor carpi ulnaris. I will tell the patient to flex all his fingers in the form of fist, and hand is placed downward now. And now I will be giving pressure here, and I will tell the patient to hold it like this. I will first flex all the fingers, and I will make the patient to flex his hand. And now I will give the pressure here and tell the patient to extend it. Now patient will extend it. This is called. This is to check the extension of the wrist, which is external carpi radialis, external carpi ulnaris. Now going to brachioradialis, that is C5, C6. The hand is placed in a supinator and pronator. This is the supination, this is the pronation. I will place the hand like this, and I will tell the patient to flex his hand like this, and I will give a pressure here. This is called brachioradialis, which is C5, C6. Coming to biceps. In biceps, the hand will be kept in a supination position, and I will give the pressure here, root value C5, C6, and tell the patient to take it like this. This is called brachioradialis, biceps. In full supination. Brachioradialis in between supination and pronation, and our brachioradialis is in full supination. Now coming to tricep. Tricep is C5, tricep is C6, C7, C8. In tricep, that is extension. So I will give the pressure here, and I will tell the patient to do like this. This is extension of the elbow joint like this, and I will give the pressure. That is called tricep. Now coming to supraspinatus. Supraspinatus is like this. The hand is like this, adducted position. From 0 to 15 degree abduction is by this supraspinatus. From 15 to 90 degree is by the deltoid. So I will look like that. Now go to deltoid. Deltoid is 15 to 90 degree. For ceratocentral from above 90 degree. 0 to 15 degree is supraspinatus. 15 to 90 degree is deltoid. Acrofacial deltoid. Anterofacial deltoid causes flexion and medial rotation. The posterior deltoid causes external rotation and extension. And this acral fiber causes 15 to 90 degree abduction, and from above the 90 degree it is caused by ceratocentral, also the lateral rotation of the scapula. This causes. Now come to lattice. Now come to also the pectoralis. I will tell the patient to clap the hands like this. Clap the hand, and when the patient is coming to clap the hand, I will give the pressure here. Both sides I will give the pressure. I will clapping the hand, and he will be giving the pressure. I will be clapping, tell the patient to clap the hand and give the examiner hand in between the clapping on the hand. Like examiner hand to touching like this, and tell the patient. For the latissimus dorsale, I will tell the patient to clap backside, like this backside. I will give the resistance to the backside. So that is latissimus dorsale. So I am coming to the muscle of the trunk. That is called Babinski-Raiking of sign. The patient will lying in a supine position. Patient lying in a supine position, and tell the person to get up without using his hands. His hands will not be used, and the person will be getting up with the abdominal muscle. This is called Babinski rising up sign. If the patient is able to rise up without the use of hand, then it is the patient abdominal muscle is intact. And if the patient not rising up, then the abdominal muscle is not intact. That's called okay. The muscles of the lower limb will come from this foot towards the leg. Coming to first the lower limb has the lumbrical intrinsic muscle of the foot, that is lumbricals and interossei. This lumbricals and interossei, the root value is C5 S1 S2. All these muscles in the foot, you have to remember L4 L5 S1 S2. You do not remember L5 S1 S2. Lumbricals and interossei, it causes clawing of the foot muscle. That is the clawing of the hand. Clawing of the hand was extension of the metacarpophalangeal joint and flexor of this interphalangeal joint, like this. Extension of the metacarpophalangeal joint and flexor of the interphalangeal joint. So it is clawing of foot. It's called by interossei. Now coming to dorsiflexor and plantar flexor. This is the dorsiflexion. Upward that is dorsiflexion, below it is plantar flexion. In a dorsiflexion, the movement of dorsiflexion is caused by tibialis. This movement is caused by tibialis anterior and peroneum. The root value is L4, L5, S1, S2. Remember. And the plantar flexor is called by tibialis. This plantar flexor is called by tibialis posterior, gastrocnemius, and soleus. So this is dorsiflexor. This is the plantar flexor. Dorsiflexion division is tibialis anterior and peroneum. Plantar flexion is caused by tibialis posterior and gastrocnemius. Now coming to inverter and inverter. This is the inverter and this is the inverter. Inverter and inverter. The inverter movement like this, inverter like this, movement like this, inverter movement is caused by tibialis anterior and tibialis posterior. This is the inverter. Tibialis anterior like this, tibialis anterior and tibialis posterior. And inverter movement like this, it's called by peroneum. This is inverter, this is called by tibialis anterior, tibialis posterior. This is inverter, this is called by peroneum. Now come to the extension of knee. This is the extension, this is the flexor. This is the extension of the knee joint, this is the flexor of the knee joint. Coming to the extension of the knee joint, when you hammer a knee hammer, that is called the extension of the knee joint. The extension of the knee joint is called a quadricep. That is vastus medialis, lateralis, and intermedius and sartorius. This is the extension. The root value is L2, L3 and L4. Extension of knee joint. That knee joint root value is L3, as we know. Now come to the flexor of the knee joint, like this. This is the flexor of the knee joint. This is the extension of knee, flexor of the knee. The flexor of the knee joint is called by bicep femoris, backside muscle. Bicep femoris, semitendinous, semimembranous. That root value is flexor of the knee joint root value is L4, L5, S1, S2, like this. This one L4, L5, S1, S2. This one L4, L5, S1, S2. This one flexor of the knee joint L4, L5, S1, S2. This is the flexor. It's called by bicep femoris, semitendinous, and semimembranous. Go to extension of the thigh. This is the thigh muscle. This is the extension of the thigh. The extension of thigh is called by gluteus maximus. Gluteus maximus causes extension of thigh and lateral rotation. This is the gluteus maximus. Gluteus maximus root value is L4, L5, S1. This is the gluteus maximus. That is extension of the thigh muscle. Now coming to flexor of the thigh. The flexor of the thigh is like this. Like this. Flexor of the thigh. This is the flexor of the thigh. This is the extension of the thigh. Extension is the flexor of the thigh. It is called by the iliopsoas and tensor fascia lata. The iliopsoas root value is L1. This is the flexor of the thigh. Flexion of the thigh. Flexor of the thigh. It is called by iliopsoas and tensor fascia lata. The root value is L1. Now come to adductor of the thigh. This is the adduction of the thigh. This is the abduction of the thigh. The adductor of the thigh is called by root adductor longus, adductor brevis, adductor magnus and gracilis. This is the adductor of the thigh. It is called by adductor longus, adductor brevis, and adductor magnus and gracilis. Root value is L2, L3, and L4. This is adduction. Abduction of the thigh is called by gluteus medius and gluteus minimus. This gluteus medius and minimus is called as abduction and also medial rotation, like this. Abduction and medial rotation, like this. This movement is called by the gluteus medius and gluteus minimus. This is the abductor. Adductor is caused by adductor longus. All adductor longus, adductor magnus, adductor brevis, and gracilis. There is the adductor of thigh. Adductor thigh is gluteus medius and minimus. This gluteus medius and minimus also called as medial rotation, like this movement. Now going to the rotator of the thigh. Rotator, that is medial rotation and lateral rotation. The medial rotation of the thigh is called by gluteus medius and gluteus minimus, as we know. And the lateral rotation is called by gluteus maximus. This rotation is also handled by obturator externus and obturator internus. So rotator thigh muscle are gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, obturator externus and obturator internus.
Medius maximus.
So let's check the muscles of the upper limb and the lower limb from the book named Hutchinson. We'll see all the muscles from the book Hutchinson of internal medicine, or the external medicine. So this is the from the upper limb. This is the adduction. This is the abduction. This is the flexion. This is the extension. This is the medial rotation. This is the external rotation. I will be seeing all this movement. Now first coming to the adduction. This adduction, it's caused by the pectoralis major. How to check the pectoralis major? I will bring the hands. This is a patient, and we will ask the patient to clap the hands. And while clapping the hands, we will examine the hand here. So while clapping, we will be giving a force to prevent the clap. So this is by pectoralis major, the adduction of the arms with shoulder flex. So adduction of the arms with shoulder flexion. So the flexion and adduction like this. Flexion and adduction. This is a flexion and this is adduction. It's called a pectoralis major. It's supplied with the pectoral nerve. The root value is C5, C6, C6, C7, C8. That is pectoral nerve. Now coming to this is the and this is the adduction. Now coming to the abduction. Abduction from the 0 to 15 degree. It's caused by the supraspinatus. It is supplied by the suprascapular nerve. The root value is C5, C6. From 15 to 90 degree. It's caused by the deltoid. Deltoid is supplied by axillary nerve. Root value is C5, C6. Deltoid is 3 fiber. One is anterior fiber, one is acromion fiber, one is posterior fiber. The anterior fiber, the deltoid, it's called medial rotation and flexion. The acromion fiber, it causes the abduction from 15 to 90 degree, and the posterior fiber, the deltoid, it's called extension of the hand and external rotation. So this is the deltoid. So the 15 to 90 degree abduction is caused by the deltoid, which supplies the axillary nerve. The root value is C5, C6. Now come to external rotation. The external rotation, this movement, external rotation, is caused by the infraspinatus, which supplies the suprascapular nerve. Root value is C5, C6. So the abduction from 0 to 15 degree supraspinatus is supplied by also the suprascapular nerve, and this external rotation is supplied by the infraspinatus nerve. So both the supraspinatus and infraspinatus supplied by the suprascapular nerve, which root value is C5 and C6. Now it's coming to the abduction and extension. Deltoid also already covered. Now coming to the serratus anterior. The serratus anterior, it causes, while we are pushing some objects, this scapula, it comes inside. So this is why the serratus anterior. When you push some object, it is caused by the deltoid. It is called the serratus anterior. So when there is winging of scapula or movement, on attempted movement, it's by serratus anterior. The winging of scapula are traced trapezius. So how to check the trapezius? The patient will start on the back of the patient, and he'll be holding like this. The back of from the back will be holding like this, and we'll be telling the patient to shrug his shoulder to check for trapezius. So we'll look at the trapezius. So serratus anterior, the root value of serratus anterior is very, very important. It is C5, C6, C7, that is long thoracic nerve. The medial rotation is like this. This is external rotation, this is medial rotation. The medial rotation is called by subscapularis latissimus dorsi and anterior fiber of the deltoid. Now coming again revise adduction from 0 to 15 degree, it's supraspinatus, 15 to 90 degree, it's deltoid, that is acromion fiber. From above the 90 degree, it is called by serratus anterior. Serratus anterior also causes, while the push, the scapula come inside. So the wing of scapula on attempted movement is by serratus anterior, arteries, it is trapezius. So this root value of this serratus anterior supplied by long thoracic nerve, that is C5, C6, C7. So this supraspinatus 0 to 15 degree, it's supplied by suprascapular, and the infraspinatus, that's called external rotation, is also supplied by suprascapular, that is C5, C6. Also no deltoid, that is C5, C6, that is axillary nerve. And the pectoralis major, that was this type of clapping movement, this is by C5, C6, C7, C8, that is pectoral nerve. And long thoracic nerve I have already discussed, that is serratus anterior. The medial rotation, it is caused by the subscapularis latissimus dorsi and anterior deltoid and anterior fiber. Now coming to the elbow muscle. The elbow, this is the flexion, this is the extension. In the elbow there is two movement possible, that is flexion and this is extension. So when the hand is fully supinated, and the examiner will give the pressure here and ask the patient to flex the hand, this movement is called by the bicep, which is supplied by musculocutaneous nerve. The root value of musculocutaneous nerve is C5 and C6. While the hand is in a semi-pronated position, that is the not pronation, not supinator, like this, semi-pronated, semi-supinated position, and examiner will give the pressure here and ask the patient to flex his hand. So this flexor movement is called by brachioradialis in a semi-pronated and semi-supinated position. The root value of this brachioradialis is radial nerve, that is C5 and C6. The extension like this. I'll keep this is the examiner hand, and this is patient hand. Examiner hand is like this, and tell the patient to extend. That is supplied by the radial nerve. That is C6, C7. So brachioradialis is supplied by the radial nerve, but the root value is C5, C6, and the extension is supplied by the radial nerve. The root value is C6 and C7. The extension, the C6, C7. Now coming to the wrist joint. The wrist joint, what are the movements that is possible? The movement is like this is the extension and abduction. This is extension and adduction, and this is the flexion and abduction. This is the flexion and adduction. Four movements. I will repeat it: extension, abduction, extension, adduction. This is the flexion, abduction. This is the flexion and adduction, adduction. Now, the first movement, that is extension and abduction, it is done by extensor carpi radialis longus. This is the extensor carpi radialis, that is called extension and abduction. The root value is C6, C7 supplied by radial nerve. Already know radial nerve what is supplied, radial nerve has already supplied the brachioradialis like this, and also the triceps, and now the extension and abduction, that is extensor carpi radialis longus like this. This is the movement, this is the movement that is caused by extensor carpi radialis longus. So, for this movement I have to put the hand like this, and I will tell the patient to, and for this movement I have to pull the hand like this, and I will tell the patient to do like this. So, this I will pull it and tell the patient to do like this. So, this is extensor carpi radialis longus, the root value is C6, C7. Now, this is the extension and adduction. So, this is done by extensor carpi ulnaris, which is supplied by the posterior interstitial nerve. The root value is C7, C8. So how to check this? Now, patient will make in both this movement I will tell the patient to make a fist. After this fist, I will be doing like this, and I will take the patient to make the extension and abduction, that is supplied to the extensor carpi radialis longus, and here like this, that is extensor carpi ulnaris, that is supplied to the posterior interstitial nerve. This is the extension and reduction. Make the fist, and I will tell the patient to extend against resistance. I will give here and tell the patient to do like this. Now, coming to the flexion. The flexion is supplied to the flexor carpi. This flexor abduction is by flexor carpi radialis, and flexor adduction is by flexor carpi ulnaris. This movement, there is a flexor carpi radialis, that is flexion, and abduction is supplied to the median nerve, that is C6, C7, and this flexion and adduction is supplied by the C7, C8 and T1. So, you can see when the patient's hand is in flexion position, I will give the pressure here and tell the patient to do like this movement. Flexion and abduction. This is the flexion and abduction. This is the flexion and adduction. Flexor and abduction is caused by the flexion and abduction is caused by median nerve, that is C6, C7. Flexion and adduction is caused by C7, C8, T1, that is ulnar nerve. I will be revising wrist movement because wrist is little tough. This is while doing a extension, abduction, adduction, I have to make the patient to make a fist, and I will give the pressure here and tell the patient to do movement of extension and abduction, that is supplied by extension and abduction, supply extensor carpi radialis longus, so supplied by radial nerve, that is C6, C7. Then extension and adduction, that is done by extensor carpi ulnaris, which is supplied by the posterior interstitial nerve, root value C7, C8. Now, coming to flexion, I will open the fist, and I will tell the patient to do flexion and adduction. The flexion and abduction is caused by flexor carpi radialis, that is supplied by median of C6, C7, and this is the flexion and adduction, which is done by flexor carpi ulnaris, the root value is C7, C8, T1. Now, coming to fingers muscle. In the fingers the movements possible. Now, before that I will be looking at the lumbricals. So, what is the function of lumbrical? The lumbricals is causes the flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint and extension at the interphalangeal. This is the flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint and extension at the interphalangeal joint. So, when there is a lumbrical, there is any type of that is clawing of hand, when the lumbricals are paralyzed, there is extension at the metacarpophalangeal joint, and there is a flexion of the interphalangeal joint. This is the clawing of the hand, where there is a extension here and there is a flexion here. This is the lumbricals function. Now, coming to the fingers extension. So, this is the fingers. This is how you extend the finger. This is the extension of the finger. This is the flexion of the finger. Now, coming to extension of the finger, it is solved by extensor digitorum. The extensor finger is called by extend. I will be giving the pressure here and tell the patient to extend. This is the extensor digitorum. This is supplied to the posterior interstitial nerve. The root values C7 and C8. Now, coming to flexion. The flexor is flexor digitorum profundus. What are the finger that causes flexor pollicis longus? For this, I will tell the patient to grasp this finger. This is always flexor. All the movements, all the fingers of the hand, they come into flexion. And I will also give a pressure here and tell the patient to do flexion. This is applied to the flexor digitorum profundus, flexor pollicis longus, flexor pollicis brevis, flexor digitorum superficialis, and flexor digitorum profundus. The root value of all this is C7, C8, T1. So, you can remember all the fingers muscle is supplied by the C7, C8 and T1. You can remember this simply. The C7, C8, T1. All this wrist and finger joint is C7, C8 and T1. So, this finger flexion, that is flexor digitorum profundus, flexor digitorum profundus, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor pollicis longus, flexor pollicis brevis, all this like this. This is the I will holding this. This is applied by the C7, C8 and T1. This is the flexion. Now, coming to thumb abduction. This is the thumb abduction. I will be giving the pressure here and tell the patient to move his thumb like this. I will be giving the pressure here and take the pressure. This is thumb abduction. This is called by abductor pollicis brevis, which is supplied by the median nerve. This abductor pollicis brevis, it is supplied by the median nerve. And the abduction of the index finger, the abduction of the index finger. So, this is the abduction of all the finger. This is the adduction. This is the abduction. This adduction is called by palmar intersai. Palmar intersai mnemonic is pad. that is adduction. Palmar intersect causes adduction, and palmar intersect causes abduction. So how will do this? I will give the paper to like this and person to do like this, and I will pull, the examiner will pull like this. So we will be checking the adduction. This is supplied to the palmar intersect, adduction, and this is the abduction. So this is the palmar intersect and this is the dorsal intersect, abduction and adduction. Now we will come into the lower limb. So lower limb, the first will be coming to the hip muscle. This is the hip. So this in the hip, like let's see the movement. This is the flexion, this is the extension, this is the internal rotation, this is the external rotation. Now this is the adduction when the comment central line, and this is the abduction. Now let's see. Let's flash the flexion. This flexion of this hip joint, flexion like this flexion, it is called by the iliopsoas and tensor fascia lata. The iliopsoas and tensor fascia lata, it's supplied by the femoral nerve, the root from the lumbar plexus femoral nerve, that is mostly L1 and also L2, L3. Iliopsoas is supplied by L1 mostly and also LT3. That is flexion of the hip joint. Now coming to extension of the hip joint. The extension of the hip joint like this extension, it is called by gluteus maximus. This gluteus maximus is causes extension of the hip joint and also external rotation like this. External rotation and also flexion like this. This is the hip joint. Gluteus maximus supplied by the inferior gluteal nerve. The root value is L5, S1 and S2. Now coming to adduction. This is the adduction, this is the abduction. This adduction is caused by the adductor. For every test, for example, for the flexor, I will be giving the pressure here, and for the extension, I will be giving the pressure here like this. Example, giving pressure. For the adduction, adduction, I will tell the patient to stretch like this, and I will give a pressure here and tell the patient to adduct it. And for the abduction, I will give the pressure here and tell the patient for abduction. And now coming to adduction, who causes adduction? These are the adductor magnus, adductor longus, and adductor brevis, which are the medial compartment muscles. Adductor longus, magnus, and brevis. All this is supplied by already know obturator nerve L2, L3, L4. And this abduction is caused by the gluteus abduction, that is like this. It's called with gluteus medius, medivus, and gluteus minimus. It is supplied by the superior gluteal nerve, that is L4, L5, and S1. We always should know that the gluteus maximus is supplied by the inferior gluteal nerve, that is L5, S1, S2, and the gluteus medius and minimus, it is supplied by the inferior gluteal, that is superior gluteal nerve, that is also L5, S2, L4, L5, S1. So this is the gluteus maximus causes extension, and this gluteal nerve causes abduction. Now a quick revision: flexion, extension, internal rotation, external rotation, abduction and adduction. The flexion of the hip joint is by iliopsoas and tensor fascia lata. It is supplied by lumbar plexus, that is femoral nerve L1, L2, L3. Extension is supplied by the gluteus maximus, supplied by the inferior gluteal nerve, root value L5, S1, S2. The adduction is supplied by is done by the adductor magnus, adductor longus, and adductor brevis, supplied by the obturator nerve, which is the middle compartment of the thigh. The root value is L2, L3, and L4. The abduction, that is supplied by done by the gluteus medius and gluteus minimus. The root value is L4, L5, and S1. This is the hip. Now come to the knee joint. Knee joint, only two movements are possible. Like in this shoulder, this is the elbow joint, flexion, extension. In the knee also, this is only two rotations, that is extension and this is the flexion. For this extension, we know when you tap a knee hammer here like this, we do the extension of the knee. For this extension of the knee is supplied the quadriceps femoris, all this muscle. This is the quadriceps femoris muscle. That is the extension of the knee joint. That is supplied the femoral nerve. The root value is L2, L3, and L4. This is the extension. That is done. That is by the quadriceps femoris. The root value is L2, L3, and L4. That is the femoral nerve. Then comes the flexor. By the hamstrings. This is the flexor. This is the flexor movement at this knee joint. This is the flexor movement. This is done by the hamstring. The backside muscle is supplied with the sciatic nerve. Backside muscle supplied with the sciatic nerve. That is L4, L5, S1, S2. This is the anterior compartment muscle that causes the extensor. That is supplied with the quadriceps femoris, which causes by the femoral nerve L2, L3, and L4. The medial muscle that causes the adduction, the medial adduction, and this backside muscle is supplied with that is the hamstring. Flexion is by the hamstring. That is sciatic nerve L4, L5, and S1 and S2. Now come to the ankle. We will come to the ankle joint. So ankle, what are the movements possible? So this is the dorsiflexion. Right? This is central. This is dorsiflexion. This is the plantar flexion. This is the inversion. This is the eversion. We can see again. I will be revising. So this is the medial position, normal position. This is the dorsiflexion. Like this side. This is the plantar. This is the dorsiflexion. This is the plantar flexion. This is the inversion. Like this. Movement is like this. Inversion. This is the eversion, like this. Eversion. It is like this. So coming to dorsiflexion. Who causes dorsiflexion? Like this movement is caused by the tibialis anterior. The tibialis anterior, this goes tibialis anterior. It's called dorsiflexion. The tibialis anterior is supplied with the deep peroneal nerve. L4, L5. Coming to the inversion. Like this. This is the tibialis anterior. This is the tibialis posterior. This is inversion. That is supplied. That is done by the tibialis posterior. The tibialis posterior root values L5, S1. We can also remember all this ankle and this fingers, toe fingers is supplied by the L5 and S1. So this is the dorsiflexion which is done by the tibialis anterior. This supplies the deep peroneal nerve. Root value is L4, L5, and the inversion is by the tibialis posterior. That is by the tibial nerve. That is L5, S1. Coming to the eversion. Eversion is like this. When the movement is like this. This is the eversion. The eversion done by peroneus. This is like this side. That is peroneus longus and the peroneus brevis. Supplied superficial peroneal nerve. Superficial muscle. That is superficial peroneal longus and peroneus brevis. That causes like this. Eversion like this. Supplied to the peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. The root value is superficial. Root value is L5, S1. Supplied to the superficial peroneal nerve. We already know the deep peroneal nerve supply the tibialis anterior. That was dorsiflexion like this. This dorsiflexion above movement like this. This movement, dorsiflexion movement, was by the tibialis anterior, supplied by the deep peroneal nerve. The superficial peroneal nerve supplies the peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. That causes this eversion movement. Eversion. Now, the plantar flexion. The plantar flexion is like this plantar flexion, normal plantar flexion. That is by the medial and lateral head of the gastrocnemius and soleus. We can plantar flexion is by the gastrocnemius and also soleus. The supplied by the tibial nerve. That is L5, S1, S2. The inversion of the foot, that is by the tibialis posterior. The inversion of the foot, that is by the tibialis posterior. That is by the tibialis nerve, and the plantar flexor, that is L5, S1, S2, is by the tibial nerve. So this means the plantar movement that we are doing is by the tibial nerve, L5, S1. So this inversion is by the tibialis posterior, and this inversion by the tibialis posterior, and the plantar flexion is the gastrocnemius and soleus. Now come with the toes muscle. In the toe is the extension of the big toe. This is the flexion of the toe. The extension of the big toe is caused by the extensor hallucis nerve, longus, supplied the deep peroneal nerve. Deep peroneal nerve supplied root values L5, S1. All we recheck it. What are the deep peroneal nerve supplying? The deep peroneal nerve supplying the dorsiflexion. This movement by the tibialis anterior. This one, the dorsiflexion, and also extension of this toe joint and all the extension of the fingers. It is a deep peroneal nerve. So this is the extension of hallucis longus. This is by the deep peroneal root values L5, S1, and this is the extension of all these toes, like this extension of the toes. This is by the deep peroneal nerve L5, S1. So when there is injury to the common peroneal nerve, there is a foot drop because there is affection of the deep peroneal nerve that causes the extension is affected. So the foot will like this, dropped like this. It is dropped always. The dropping moment. This is the foot drop. That is by the common peroneal nerve when there is injured. Now come to the flexion. The flexion of the toes, like this, the flexion of the toes is by the flexor digitorum longus and flexor hallucis longus. Flexor hallucis longus and flexor digitorum longus. All are supplied by the tibial nerve, that is L5, S1. Thank you.